Hello and good morning, everyone. It's Michele Maher here this morning, and I'm joined with Jeffrey Eisen. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for giving me your time to talk about the past few months, what we've gone through and continue to go through, and keeping a positive mindset while getting creative and pivoting in your business and your life. So thank you, Jeffrey. If you want to just give us a few words on who you are and what you're all about.
Thank you, Michele, and thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. My name is Jeffrey Eisen. I'm a spiritual life coach, the channeler of Sheltazar and an energy intuitive. And that is the newest rendition of who I am. I didn't used to be that. I was in a family business for over 30 some years and led a rather traditional life until I turned 50 and realized that there had to be more to life. Went on a journey of self-discovery, realized that there was certainly more to life, and have dedicated the last 17 or 18 years to helping other people find themselves, find their passion, change their beliefs, and live the best life that they possibly can.
Right. Okay. So I think a lot of us seem to find, especially nowadays, I see more and more people realizing that there's more to life than than what we were brought up to, the standard, go to school, go to university, get a nice job, work 9 to 5, and you'll be happy, and then you can retire and everything's all good. Um, so I also had a former life as 20 years being an accountant, doing accounting for derivatives and financial instruments, and last working at the bank. So it's totally, and it was fine. I enjoyed the work. I just did not. I realized that there was more to life again, and there's more to why I'm here. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, Michele, because I really believe that the COVID-19 situation that we are in and going through is providing that opportunity for a lot of people. You did it
Yes.
before COVID. I did it before COVID. Um, but some people, I think, need a little bit stronger nudge. And I think COVID-19 is that nudge to question what you're doing and question what life is all about, and make sure that you are living the best life you can. Make sure that you're living your passion. Make sure you're not just doing the job and hoping that, when I get this and when I get that, I'll be able to start living, because living is in the now. And I really believe that that is one of the greatest benefits of COVID is things are shook up. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are forced to lose their livelihood in certain industries, travel. You've felt the pinch. A lot of people have felt the pinch in their businesses, but I believe it's just a pause button so that we can reinvent ourselves and how we do business. I really believe that there is great opportunity in this because I personally don't think that we were heading in a trajectory that was sustainable. I think that the expansiveness of the way the world seemed to be going was not in our highest good, and it's important to have this pause button. I say to people, when our kids were growing up and they misbehaved, we put them on the couch and gave them a timeout. And the universe has given us a giant timeout to reflect and decide what's important and what's not important. So I think it's really vital that each of us not look at what we've lost, but how we can reinvent ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was what everybody was looking at, what was lost at the beginning, because there was such a loss of control and so much uncertainty and everything being shut down, and everybody having to stay at home. The natural tendency of the human mind is to go into fear mode and survival mode and think of what's been lost. And and the talk at the beginning was when we get back to normal. And of course, we realize we're never going back to that, nor should we, nor do we want to, because, like you say, it was not sustainable going at the pace we were going at, where worrying about the next thing and rushing off to the next thing, and parents having their kids in so many activities that it was nonstop, and everybody not having time for themselves or time to actually sit and be present.
Hmm. Hmm. I think we're also in an interesting stage of the evolution of the COVID situation, and I call it a situation because I think it is a situation. We go through lots of situations. I was around in the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that was a situation. And I was around in the Cold War, and that was a situation. And the world goes through many, many situations. Um, but what we're seeing now in this stage of this evolving situation is the divisiveness and the infighting, which I think serves a purpose. It's extremely uncomfortable. I try not to watch or check out too much news or social media, but we are definitely seeing the polarities of people that believe that COVID was all a hoax and it's not as serious as they think it is. Just before we started recording, you and I talked about your family feeling not comfortable yet coming out and judging people that go out to patios. I have that in my family as well. I think that's for purpose. I think this infighting is so that we can, shine a light on the fact that the only way we're going to survive is by coming together and not dividing apart. It's rather fascinating that this pandemic was a worldwide situation. It's not a specific country. It's not a specific region. We've had other pandemics that tended to be more localized in certain
Right.
parts of the globe. This one is the whole world, and it's fascinating to see how different countries are handling it. And here we are in North America. Canada is handling it so much different than the United States. Not to say one is good and one is bad, but it's very different. And it's really important for us to look as a humanity and see which way do you think we should be handling crisis on a global level and on a personal level. There is so much opportunity for reflection in all of this. And if we're busy fighting and being divisive and arguing with each other, we're missing out on the opportunity of reflecting and changing not only our own lives, but humanity.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And it's funny because we found that I found at the beginning it was all the fear, 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 and worrying about the, grocery store and toilet paper and all that stuff. And then we went into a period of what I felt was overwhelm with everybody being online and all kinds of opportunities for learning, to the point where I was signing up for all kinds of things and realized like I can't just keep, I'm almost going back to how I was running my life before. So slow down. And then we've gotten into, then we saw the community coming together, everybody coming together and helping each other. And now, like you say, as things come opening up, there's more of the divisiveness coming out again, which we had thought that we got rid of, or at least I thought that we had gotten rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Well,
don't.
and I think what we're seeing is very much the way they predict the virus runs, and that is waves. And we're starting to see
Yeah.
waves of fear, and then coming together, and now fear again. And I think we're going to see a bunch more waves. I always recommend to people that now is the opportunity to go inward. Stop
Yeah.
trying to figure out how you're going to change the world and change you, because the world is made up of over 7.5 billion yous, individual people. And I think it's really important that we take this opportunity to go inward. I know I'm going through something in the last few weeks since July. There was some real energy things happening with eclipses and full
Oh, yeah.
moons and the solstice, and it's creating a stirring up in me. And I know that there's going to be some changes in my life. I'm not panicking about those. I'm taking them in stride, but realizing that through my personal reflection, I will be making some changes in my life, and I refuse to get anxious or impatient or fearful because I don't know what they're going to be. But I do feel that as we get through August and into September, I know my life is going to change, and I highly recommend to individuals to think about the personal change, not necessarily the collective change, because the only thing we can really control is ourselves and our own personal change. So go on that journey, make the change. If enough of us make the change, the collective will change.
Right, exactly. It comes down to when you change yourself, then it has an impact on others. And
Absolutely.
that's going back to what you were saying about it being a global pandemic. It's just showing us that we are all humans and we are all together in this world. We are all the same, because this pandemic was affecting everybody regardless of income or your financial status. It didn't really matter. It was affecting all of us, and at the same time the earth is getting a chance to have a break
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with
Yes.
the way
Speaking of which, we just came back from a few days up in Halliburton, and there's nothing like a little bit of Mother Nature to soothe the soul, and it has certainly revitalized me. And it is important, I believe, for people to shift that energy, get out into nature, get away from the crowds. Don't read the news, get off of social media, and just connect with nature, because nature is a great healing power for all of us. And so I highly recommend that, because
right.
I think I know that when it comes to business, because I know your show is a little bit is also about business. In order for us to reinvent our business, and everyone's going to have to reinvent their business,
Yes.
we need to be in a place of creativity. We need to be in a higher vibration. If we're in the vibration of fear and scarcity and lack, we're not going to have we're not going to come up with the ideas that will allow us to reinvent the way we do business. And once again, if each of us reinvents the way we do business, then collectively business will change. I think business has become, to a certain degree, too greedy, too manipulative. I think that there's an opportunity to be more conscious in business, because business is just run by people, and it all comes down to people. And once again, as you pointed out, we're all susceptible to the virus. The business is not susceptible to the virus, but the people that run the business are vulnerable to the virus. So it's really, really important for us to think about creative ways. I know you're in the jewelry business and you do amazing work. Well, how can you get your product out there with this new reality? And don't rush for the answer. I'm a real big fan. I've been very, very fortunate in my journey to have taken a side road in spirituality, and I've done a lot of work in connecting to the invisible world. And I love the fact that I'm able to channel Shaltazar, because they have brought forth amazing wisdom. And I know for some people that's a bit woo-woo, but I will tell you that connecting to my intuition and getting that guidance has really changed my life in a big way. And I love to help people find and connect to their intuition, because it's beyond the linear, logical, limited mind that most of us use to make decisions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people are embracing that right now. Just embracing a lot of people who haven't meditated previous to this happening have embraced meditation. All kinds of people getting out in nature. That was, especially initially when we were all staying home. And that was the only, the break that you got from, getting outside the house, because you can't stay inside all the time. And people were actually appreciating nature, noticing the birds, noticing the leaves, noticing the squirrels running around and things like that. Everybody who was so, if you want to call it busy before, which was just, a lot of us just, was the way we operated, just made ourselves busy. So
That's the way we were taught, right? That's the way we were taught.
yeah,
That busy
right.
is good, right? Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't even, we still have the same 24 hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everybody was saying, oh, I have more time, I have more time. But really, again, same 24 hours, it's just how you choose to use those hours.
Right. Yeah.
And people have embraced new habits and new routines and things like that, embracing nature and incorporating walks into their daily activities. And hopefully that's something that they will, choose to continue on doing because they realize they enjoy it.
Right. One of the things that I have learned through my work with Sheltazar is that the greatest gift we have, the greatest power we have, is personal choice. And a lot of people don't take advantage of that. They feel that they have to do what others tell them to do.
Right.
They have to follow the rules. Even the rules that we have now with masks and social distancing. You have a choice. You have a choice as to whether you obey the law or you don't obey the law. I highly encourage people to be very cognizant of others and not be selfish. But this personal choice as to what you do with your 24 hours, how you run your business, how you respond to other people is the greatest gift we have. And I think it's an opportunity for us to take that power back and become more conscious in our response, more conscious in our choices. I know before I went on my journey of self-discovery, as I look back to those first 50 years, I was making choices that I was taught I thought I had to make, that I was conditioned to believe were what I was supposed to do. And when I woke up and realized I can choose how I respond, even coming back from the country, coming back from Halliburton, this morning I'm looking at things a little differently. It's so easy, even though I've been extremely fortunate during this period and I've been very busy and helping people and had lots of great projects. I made a few different choices this morning and my outcomes were different. My energy is different because I chose to do things a little bit differently. So try to become aware that every choice you make creates a different life. Sheltazar has taught me that our life is made up of these billions and billions of choices that the world is making, that we individuals are making. So become more cognizant of the choices and more conscious of the choices that you're making in every moment.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is that before this pandemic, as you said, we're taught to do, that we have to do this, this, and this, and there's a path in life and things like that. But just if we go back to looking how everything got shut down so quickly, even including sports and Las Vegas, like that's always going to be my example. Like who would ever have thought Las Vegas would be shut down? Um, you know, just realizing that anything is possible and you don't have to follow the choices that you're taught or how everything is supposed to operate. Just looking at business as well. Who would have thought that all of the office towers downtown would be left empty and everybody come home to work?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, as I say, we're going to have a lot of changes
Yeah.
coming forward in terms of where people work and things like that. And I think each one of those is an opportunity. I highly encourage people to realize that they can be on the front end of the curve, that things are going to change. And if you don't take time to reflect, if you don't take time on realizing where the opportunities are, then you're going to be left behind. Because there are going to be people, just like in technology. I mean, I find it astounding to realize how fortunate we were to have a pandemic in 2020 compared to the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, where they didn't have the technology or the Zoom or the
Yeah.
iPhones or all of those things. So there is going to be opportunity. And do you choose to be a leader or do you choose to be a follower?
Right. And that's when it comes down to this whole realizing that it's a choice in how you see what's happening right now and whether you're a victim or not. And see that you have the choice in how we can create the new future and who you can be at the end of this, or whatever. I don't know what to say the end of this, whatever, whenever we come out to some
Right.
new
Yeah.
way of doing business.
Why?
Like,
Because I think it's going to constantly evolve, and I don't know if there will be an
yeah,
end. There just will be a whole bunch of new beginnings and a
right.
bunch of endings, because there are a lot of things that ended that aren't going to come back. And I always like to look at things for every ending, there's a new beginning. And do you want to be stuck, with the door closing and bitching and complaining that is ended? Or do you want to be the leader that's going to open the new door? And so I think it's really important. I can't emphasize enough how that personal choice seems so simple, but it is so profound. And I highly encourage people to take some time and reflect on the choices that you're making every day, every moment. At the end of the day, say, okay, well, I chose to do this and this happened, and I chose to do that and that happened. Um, because if you realize that if you can keep your energy up, if you can keep your vibration high, then you're going to be making different choices, and those different choices will lead to a whole different life. And that's really, really important. How you choose to respond to a conversation, how you choose to respond to reading something, how you choose to respond to an idea. Someone says, oh, here's an idea for your business. And you say, oh, that'll never work. Well, that response could close a door that could change your life. And I know my wife is a phenomenal teacher for me. She often says, well, why don't you try that? And I say, oh, that won't work. And thank heavens, I reflect after the fact sometimes and say, well, I better try it. And I do, and she's right. And it's taken me, I've been married, we just celebrated our 41st anniversary last week. And it's taken me all this time to realize that often your wife is right, and get off your high horse and stop trying to be the hero, and listen to, whether it's your wife, it's your siblings, it's your parents, it's your friend. Listen to other people with a sense of humility. You don't have to be right. There are a lot of great ideas coming at us every day. But again, one of those old paradigms is we have to be in control. We have to be the smartest person. We have to figure it out on our own. I think we're coming into an age of cooperation and collaboration. So do things in groups, find buddies, connect with people that will help you. And instead of having to reinvent the wheel on your own, I highly encourage entrepreneurs to get together, pool their resources, and maybe even come to market as a collective or as a cooperative, as opposed to competing with each other.
Yeah, right. I think we've seen a lot of that, a lot of this, as we've seen community coming together and people actually, um, you know, seeing their neighbors and meeting their neighbors where they would just jump in their car and go to work and whatever before, as well as online, a lot of entrepreneurs coming together and doing collaborations. I just recently saw somebody do a 3-day event where they did come together, and again, I think that is something that is only going to serve us going forward, because there's enough to go around. There's no fear. There shouldn't be the fear that, like you say, of lack. There's enough to go around, and let's come together as a community and work together to make a better world.
And to share, you've done 80 of these segments, and I congratulate you for that, because that is very selfless. That is a sharing. You are not talking to these people and keeping the information for yourself. You're talking to these people and sharing it with the world. And I hope people are listening and appreciating what Michele is doing from the goodness of her heart. She is sharing, and that sharing is a wonderful vibration and energy. And I am a firm believer in the law of cause and effect, also known as the law of karma. And I know it's going to come back to you. And I would highly recommend that other people do the same. Do things for others, and it will come back to you in spades.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's all about helping each other. And that's what I found. I felt, right from the start, just wanting to help each other, and knowing that people are going through, like it's much more difficult for some than others as we're going through this, especially people who were isolated, alone, and didn't even have a pet.
Mhm.
So that, so it's just good to help get the message out to that you're not alone, and that what you are feeling, other people are feeling too, and to acknowledge it, because we're all going to be, I know it's been kind of an emotional roller coaster, and you do get down into the, feeling lower days and things like that, and it just getting through it all and acknowledging it.
Right, right. And that brings up an interesting point. I'm a real firm believer in getting in touch with our feelings and expressing them in a healthy and appropriate way. I don't believe that feelings are good or bad. I think that they're pleasant and unpleasant. I think that they're higher and faster and lower and slower. And Sheltazar has taught me a lot about feelings being truth. So we are on an emotional roller coaster. There's no doubt about it. When I'm talking about positivity, when I'm talking about opportunity, I am not expecting people to be there all of the time. You are going to feel a little bit depressed, a little bit frustrated, a little bit angry. Feel those feelings, feel them fully. Again, try to express them in a healthy and appropriate way. Don't take them out on your close friends or your family because that's not going to help. Go within and let that feeling speak to you. Sheltazar says to acknowledge your feeling, accept it as if it's your best friend, even if it's scarcity, fear, whatever it is. Accept it as if it's your best friend. And just as I said, sometimes my wife gives me advice, and her delivery is not always the greatest. The advice that she gives is, and if I get turned off by the delivery of the message, I don't pay attention to it. So those feelings are just like that. Accept those feelings and then let them speak to you. And if they are those lower and slower feelings of anger and frustration and depression and feeling alone, that's okay. That's okay. I think it's an illusion to think that we can go through life and only feel, the happy thoughts, the joyous
Right.
thoughts. That's why I have my joy mug today to sort of help. Some days I go to the cupboard and say, I think I could use a little joy, so I'll use my joy mug today. I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings and feel them. And I'm a big fan of journaling. Try a feeling journal. Start to write out your feelings and pour them out on the page, and you will find that the feelings are like a rainstorm. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you pour out your feelings onto your feeling journal, you will find that they pass, and you will find some great gems and some great wisdom that came out of those feelings, even if they were the unpleasant ones.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice for people, because we are going through quite the emotional roller coaster, and I think it's going to continue for some time, at least I think the rest of this year, for one thing. But yeah, so in terms of the technology and everything on pivoting business and things like that, I know that you have embraced Zoom
Mhm.
over this period of time and are using it. Because you were meeting people virtually, but I think you were also meeting people in person prior
Oh,
to that.
I loved when people would come to my home sanctuary. It's
Yes.
full of crystals and crystal bowls, and so I still miss that. Um,
Yeah.
I used to do my coaching, over the phone for distance, and I've switched to Zoom. I was resistant to that because I felt that Zoom was distracting, but I got over it. I got over myself, and I've added a new dimension so that everything I do now has a video component to it as well. So some of the things that we resist in business, it takes a situation like the pandemic to
Yeah.
force us to try new things. So I highly encourage people to embrace the technology, embrace new ways of doing things, and try your creative ideas. Often often we put them down before we even try to implement them. So try, and you're going to find that some of those ideas really, really work. It is important, though, to realize that the business climate is changing, and we're all capable of taking advantage of that. I always like to think about what people want from me and how I can deliver it to them in a cost-effective, meaningful way. And so it's really important to look at your product and service, look at your demographic, and look who wants your product and service, and how can you authentically, in a genuine way, communicate with them your offering. For me, a big shift in business, and this came through Schultezar as well, is because I was in the steel business for over 30 years. It was all around selling my product and service. But now what I do is I simply share with people what I'm all about. I put it out there. I try to be as authentic and genuine as I can. And then I share some of what I have that I'm willing to give away for free, whether it's my podcast, whether it's the messages of Schultezar. And then I in a very genuine, authentic way, I just offer. I don't sell, I offer. And just that shift for me was a big one. For example, when you've got some jewelry, do you want to sell your jewelry or do you want to offer it to someone? And if you're offering it to someone who really sees the beauty and sees the value in it, then a sale will take place. And so it's de-emphasizing the selling of our product and service, more to the offering of our product and service. And just if you do that, it takes the pressure off of selling, and it's a lot easier, because I think that all things being equal, people do business with who they like, and all things not being equal, people do business with who they like. So just be out there, be likable, be yourself, and try not to figure out manipulative ways of selling your product and service. Just be as genuine and as authentic as you can. And if people like you, then they will buy your product and service.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely an important point. It's all about relationship building now, more so I think than ever before, and being authentic. And now that we are only online, it's really important that you're sharing your authenticity with everybody, and yeah, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, Jeffrey. I think we've come up on our time, and it was great talking to you. I guess what we're not at stage 3 yet for Toronto. We're still at stage 2, but other people are. I think Barrie maybe or something is opening on Friday a little bit more. So as things open up more, I guess what would be your advice to everybody to just
Well, personally, I think it's important not to look at stage 1, 2, or 3, but look at how you show up. It's interesting because having come back from Halliburton, smaller community, they seem to be more at ease up there, and I can understand that. It's a sparser population. So don't think of it in terms of the stages. Work on your level of comfort. Try to become more comfortable with this new reality. Whether you like it or not, they ask you to wear masks in public places. So just become comfortable doing so. I personally, I don't think it's a great idea to resist all of this and to get mad and angry. Become more comfortable with whether at stage 2, stage 3, realize that this is a new reality and that everybody's doing their best. And if you could just do your best and show up fully, be as kind, compassionate, and considerate and understanding of yourself, so you can be kind, considerate, compassionate, and understanding of everyone else. I personally don't think anyone's out to harm us. Everybody's trying to do the best. If we can do this collectively, we'll get through it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. We need to remember kindness above all, kindness and compassion. So thank
Absolutely.
you again, and I will put your information underneath this interview as well, including your podcast. So thanks so much for giving me your time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michele, for doing this. And I think it's really wonderful that you're sharing. And hopefully, you're an inspiration for others to give of themselves and to share with the world. So, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me on your show.
Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.